We've talked about some of the household names you all know, but what about the guys flying under the radar that you should know? Let's bring in our experts, Chris Trapasso and Emory Hunt. We've got 5 guys to keep an eye on. Let's start at number 5, tight end Sean Dykes. We haven't heard a ton about this position this season, especially after seeing what Kyle Pitts did last year, going top 5 in the draft. Dykes was first team all-conference out of Memphis, but Emory, I'll start with you. Could he be just as productive in the NFL?
Absolutely. A lot of times it's about fit, and I'm glad Chris is going to talk about that in a second. But when you think about what he brings to the table, he's helping you maximize your 46-man roster on game day. He is someone that could be an H-back or be a flex tight end in the right offense because he gets down the field, he has great speed, and is someone that does a lot of damage after the catch. You could find a place on your offense for one of these move tight ends that's now in vogue in the NFL.
Yeah, I would love him landing with the Indianapolis Colts. When you look at heading into free agency, T.Y. Hilton's a free agent, Zach Pascal's a free agent, and their big tight end, Mo Alley-Cox, also set to hit the free agent market. Even though Sean Dykes is a little bit smaller, I think Frank Reich, more so than a lot of other head coaches in the NFL, would certainly be fine running more 2 tight end sets. And regardless of if the quarterback's Carson Wentz or it's someone else, there just needs to be more weapons on this offense. And I love that Dykes started as a wide receiver and, like Emory said, can stretch the field vertically as a tight end or out of the backfield. The Colts need more weapons. 6th or 7th round, maybe even at the undrafted free agent ranks, they could insert Dykes into this offense to give their next quarterback another speed option down the middle of the field.
All right, let's move to the defensive side of the ball now. Corner Trey Swilling out of Georgia Tech. No interceptions in 2021 for him. Emory, is that a big deal or just a sign that teams were just shying away from him because he's a good player?
All things can be true. A little bit, he missed some opportunities. Some teams shied away from him. He was pretty much banged up this season, which is why we didn't see the Trey Swilling that we saw earlier in his career. And I think people have to remember that when they're judging guys based off how they played their last season. Maybe they were dealing with an injury. I was able to find out that that was something he was going through. And listen, you could sell me on any name Swilling coming from Georgia Tech. Ken Swilling was outstanding safety. Pat Swilling was an outstanding edge rusher, and Trey Swilling is someone I think can play really well on the outside. He can play either the boundary side or the field side. I know the NFL's game is right in the middle of the field, so it really isn't the boundary or field side, but that speaks to his athleticism and his ability to play on both ends of defense out there in the secondary.
All right, let's get Trey Swilling on the Seattle Seahawks, and I'll tell you why. Pete Carroll, more so than any other head coach and all the defensive staff there, has loved the tall, long cornerbacks to play on the perimeter more than anyone else. Trey Swilling just under 6'2", arms over 32 inches, so he really has the length to disrupt passes, even if he's not going to be in the hip pocket of NFL wide receivers on every single play. And he's a very willing tackler, comes down in run support, delivers big hits relatively often. In the 6th or 7th round, when it's always smart to add a few more defensive backs to your defense with today's passing renaissance that we're in, I would love to see Trey Swilling in Seattle with Pete Carroll in that Seahawks defense.
You know, Chris, you mentioned he likes to tackle. The Legion of Boom, having a guy in the secondary that likes to hit. Oh, what a surprise. And Emory, you mentioned the thing about the injuries, because you're looking at Ryan Wilson's mock draft, and Jameson Williams obviously tore his ACL at the end of the year, but the wide receiver is still projected to go in the 1st round. So good point by you there. Now let's talk QBs, and Anthony Brown out of Oregon, 18 touchdowns, 7 interceptions for the New Jersey native. Emory, will we hear his name called on day 2, maybe day 3?
Maybe day 3. Here's someone that, to me, plays a pro game. I saw a lot of his game when he was at Boston College, and just like how he was able to operate under center, operate off play action. He goes to Oregon so he can showcase a little bit of his athleticism that I think people underrated. To me, he reminds me a lot of Tavares Jackson when he was coming out of Alabama State, ended up having some success with the Vikings and also Seahawks. So you look at someone like Anthony Brown that can touch every level of the field with his arm, has the deep ball accuracy that you want to see, and plays a good game from a leadership perspective. So you think about the game against Ohio State and how he was able to get that upset for Oregon. I think he is one of the more underrated prospects that you can get on day 2 or day 3, and one that I feel as though will surprise some people in preseason with his play and push for at least a QB2 spot right out of the gate as a rookie.
Anthony Brown would be the perfect backup or that developmental quarterback 3 in Philadelphia with the Eagles behind Jalen Hurts. Actually, watching both of these quarterbacks at length when they were in college, I think Anthony Brown gives you a lot of what Jalen Hurts gave you at Alabama and Oklahoma, that he might need to process coverage a little bit better and make better decisions, but the arm talent is there, and they're both high caliber runners. So yes, you have Gardner Minshew as the entrenched backup in 2022 behind Jalen Hurts, but looking ahead to the future, you probably want a quarterback that can give you some of the same stuff in terms of what you can do with your game plan if Jalen Hurts does go down. And we know he's a prolific runner, great scrambler, used in the designed run game with Nick Sirianni quite often as a rookie. With Anthony Brown, he could give you a lot of the same stuff on Sundays if he was forced into action early in his career.
All right, for this next guy, I'm going to kind of spill the beans here, a little bit of a spoiler alert, because during the break I was listening to two of you talk about Timon Fox, edge rusher out of North Carolina, had 9 sacks last year. You both seem to like him a lot. So, Emory, how does he stack up in this class where it seems that the trenches are well represented?
Well, yeah, everyone focuses on the sack numbers and who's twitched up, who's going to jump out the gym. Sometimes you just need someone that's going to beat you up at the line of scrimmage, and that's Timon Fox. He's a heavy-handed puncher at the line of scrimmage. Think George Foreman-like strength when he punches you at the point of attack. He's going to set a physical edge, and what that means is that when you're trying to run the football to his side, he pretty much closes that door and forces the running back to cut it back where his defensive help is. So if he's able to set the edge like that consistently, like he was at North Carolina, also showcasing the ability as a power rusher, I think he has tremendous skill set, a good value pick that you can get late day 2, early day 3, that's going to end up playing a lot of minutes for you on your defense because of what he can do versus the run.
Yeah, 5th or 6th round seems to be around where Timon Fox would be picked. I would love him on the Arizona Cardinals. This is the team that most likely is going to lose Chandler Jones in free agency unless they franchise tag him, which would be the second tag that he's gotten in his NFL career, would pay him a very big contract this late in his career. So they're not going to be able to replace Chandler Jones with one guy. They're going to have to go with a lot of depth options up front. And being 6'3" and around 250 pounds, Timon Fox looks like that traditional 3-4 stand-up outside rush linebacker. And Vance Joseph does run a base 3-4 defense. I think to have someone along the depths of your edge rusher position in Timon Fox, like Emory said, that does have that NFL caliber strength and is not going to be a liability against the run. Plus, he can make some impact as a pass rusher with pass rushing moves, would be a great addition to this defense. It's probably going to be without Chandler Jones in 2022.
I wasn't ready for the George Foreman reference in this chat. If I was, I would have asked for like a ringside bell or at least one of those grills. We could have made burgers or something, Emory. You got to let me know ahead of time. All right, finally, from my alma mater, Deshaun Corbin. If we look at the mock draft from Ryan Wilson, there's no running backs going in the first round. This kid out of Florida State, how does he kind of fit in with the running backs that might be taken this year? Is he one of those elite guys or maybe second, third tier guys, Emory?
He is the most underrated running back, in my opinion, in this draft class. When you think about skill set, he has it in spades. To me, he reminds me a lot of what Kareem Hunt was like coming out of Toledo. Good elusiveness, good shiftiness, and has that burst to rip off yards in chunks. I remember watching the Florida State Notre Dame game and wondering why a guy that just ran for a 90-yard touchdown run didn't see the football ever again in the second half. It was like, man, let's keep giving that guy the football. And when you think about how his skills translate to the next level, when people think about running backs, think in terms of, can you make a guy miss? Well, can you be your own blocker? Corbin can do just that. I was at the East-West Shrine Bowl. He did a great job all week long, not only running the football, but showcasing that skill set as a receiver, going deeper down the field. And in blitz pickup, he's not afraid of a little physical confrontation in the hole with the linebacker. So I think he's underrated. He's going to be one of these guys going to go in the 3rd or 4th round. Is going to end up playing a lot as a rookie because of his wide array of skill set. So I'm a big fan of Josh Corbin.
I totally agree with Emory. I think there is a case that Deshaun Corbin is one of the most underrated backs in this class. It's good at the top. There's a lot of depth. But what I love about Corbin, too, he's got great vision. At Florida State, they ran a lot of zone blocking scheme, and he doesn't always have to hit the cutback. If the blocking is good, he can hit the front side of those runs, and like Emory mentioned, hit the Jets. That 90-yard touchdown against Notre Dame, a defense that had a lot of NFL caliber talent on it, was really, really impressive. I would love to see him with the Falcons. They're probably going to lose Cordarrelle Patterson in free agency, and then at that point, they would have Mike Davis and Quadri Olison, two pretty capable backs as we've seen over the past few years. They just don't have that speed element. And if you want to take some pressure off of Matt Ryan late in his career, Kyle Pitts, it would be nice to have a running back that might not be a high volume type, but can hit you a 50 or a 60-yard play every now and then. And Jashaun Corbin, I think, is going to test very well at the Combine and move up draft boards after his workout in Indianapolis.
We'll see if Corbin falls in the long line of Florida State running backs that have been productive in the NFL. Cam Akers, a guy who had to wait a little bit in the draft as well. Chris Trapasso, Emory Hunt, thank you guys so much for all your insight. Don't forget, our draft coverage is going to crank up as we get ready for the Combine. First round mock drafts by Ryan Wilson and Chris Trapasso coming up. Combine analysis live from Indianapolis will be there on the field. Updated overall and position player rankings coming your way as well. Do not forget the NFL draft set for April 28th through the 30th.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.